and welcome back to Operations with Void. I'm your host, Forgotten Void, and today we will be going back to our normal schedule where I go over a replay that I'm doing rather than a last week's or this past video that was a bit on the weird side for me. I just wanted to test out something. Apparently it's not as popular as my normal videos, so we will continue back to normal playthrough in Ops. We are going to use the global Kurfurst, and we're going to go back to Aegis again, even though the last video was technically an Aegis video, but it doesn't actually show any gameplay. It's just more like an advertisement for the video. Anyways, the op. Global Kurfurst used to be a tech tree ship before it was moved to special and replaced with Preußen. I currently have both. They both have the same, and pretty much the same armor layout. You have a 60mm bow, which is really nice. It's only a small 32mm, and having this bow means a little bit of angling, and you can deflect even Yamato shells. The whole ship is mostly 50mm armor, 150 belt. It's your aft that's a lot of 32. So going forward and angling in is going to help you a lot against most enemies. The downside is you have this huge 19mm superstructure that is an HE trap. And since bots aim for center, they're going to hit here a lot. And so they'll take away a lot of your HP through the superstructure. And fires. Fires are the another thing you'll lose a lot of HP to. Now, a lot of people like to talk about the turtleback, which is this here. It works great at close ranges because it's really hard to hit the citadel at close ranges. But at long ranges, plunging fire it'll just go right into the citadel. So that's another reason why people want to go and get up close and brawl with this ship. As for equipment, we have main battery mod because despite it being a brawling ship, the main battery is where you're going to get most of your damage. Concealment mod to get in closer. And the other thing would be ship consumables so that you can your heal is 10% longer, your hydro is 10% longer, your damage control party is 10% longer. But concealment is generally the number one because that also affects dispersion of the enemy ships and shells. We have damage control. You can either go propulsion or damage control. Propulsion gets you going faster to help dodge shells or to start the op or to get into position. Damage control, it helps when you get set on fire by reducing the time that the fire burns. We have damage control because you get set on fire a lot, and sometimes you just want to let the fire burn while you are tanking armor piercing shells. Aiming systems mods 1 because again, yes, we can use secondary, but aiming systems for that main battery dispersion so that our shells are more accurate. It's only like a kilometer difference, so it's difference of 15% because this still gives +5 secondary range and -5 to secondary dispersion. So it's only a difference of 15%. And then you have the main battery dispersion, which is really important. We have damage control system to hopefully reduce the chance of catching fire. And then we have auxiliary modification because the main battery don't really get taken out that much, and this keeps our secondary and AA battery alive for longer. If I was going to change for something else, I would think about damage control party because instead of 15 seconds, that would get you to like 22 seconds, and so that's the amount of time that you cannot get set on fire just to reduce fire, but we have this for survivability. On to the captain. So preventive maintenance because survivability for everything. We have priority target so that we know who's targeting us. We have long-range secondary shells. So we have the secondary skills. We have Adrenaline Rush. Close quarters combat, so our main battery will fire more often. And then we have fire prevention, because fires are usually the death of us. The only other thing I could think of is emergency repair expert, but we are using all of our skills for both secondary and survivability. If you wanted more survivability, you could change these two secondary skills for emergency repair expert and either of these skills. I actually might do this one because you can actually get, you might be able to get 2 million potential, and the ability to have your repair party cooldown go faster as you're taking potential damage is helpful when you have, what's the cooldown? 76 seconds on this, so that's because we have the flag. It's normally 80 seconds. We're using reduced fire damage, better secondary, better AA, consumable cooldown because it's 4 seconds faster. You get your heal, and then your heal lasts longer and repairs more. Those are what we have. Okay, with that, we will go into battle. So here we are. We're in Aegis. Thing we have to do is we go take the center, then defend the north, and then take out the transport escorts, and then we escort the transports over here while a bunch of ships spawn in that area. Our team, you have 2 Grober Kurfurst, well 3 because of the random, 2 in our division. We have a Devastation in our division, a Worcester and a Salem, and an Elbing. So we have actually a pretty good team, which is necessary since with all tier 10s in it and a super ship, the enemy bots will be pretty buffed. But on the other flip side of having high tier ships is that you can do a lot of damage. You get those big numbers for damage and ops. There we go, just a 10k salvo right off the bat with just our front guns. And we're going to blind fire that he's in. And we're rewarded with just 1 full pen. Still, 4k gained is 4k that we would have not had if we had held our fire. And there's another Heathen. It's the 3rd Heathen. And 4th Heathen. So we have a lot of HP in this first wave. So Aegis, because the this pool, because the pool is very randomized as to what ships can be in. So, like the first one, you can have up to four battleships. This is the max of number of battleships you can have. There is also several cruisers in the spawn pool and several destroyers. So you can have up to 5 cruisers in both spawn pools for the first spawn and the second spawn. Ooh, spicy 25k salvo. And by having those spawn pools, it allows for randomization. But this also means that actually maybe there is a possibility of getting 5, because I do know there's at least 1 Palmer in the spawn pool. I don't know if this spawn pool is limited or if it actually has a hard cap. The spawn pools in Tough have there's just a limited to a number of ships in the spawn pool, and then a number of ships per ship type. So it might be the same here. Tough is a little bit different. Okay, so anyway, so because of that, we got a pretty bad. It's either lucky or unlucky because that we have so many Heathens. This means lots of damage. It also means lots of HP to chew away to clear out this area. So, like, the shores is already way up. It's able to take out one of them. But we already lost the Smith, and we're probably going to lose the shores here shortly, too. That's one thing. The shores is one of the ships, like the ally ships, you get that were not changed when going up tier, get damage reduction. So 50% damage reduction or so. So even if they take a Citadel, it's not actually that much damage. Ooh, nice 2 Citadels on that Yoshino. None of the other ships, any of the ships that were changed don't get that, but the ships that stay the same, which are usually the allied ships, plus a toggle on Cherry Blossom, they all get minus 50% damage reduction. Makes for some funny salvos. Oh, 48k on that Azuma. It's nice. We had, what? That was 11 out of 12 shells that hit out that salvo. See, this is a main battery ship. I mean, the secondaries are nice, and we will get into a point where we use them. But being back here where we can use the main gun and get these nice 20k salvos. And see, for the second wave, it was all Azumas and Yoshinos. And I believe there's, what, 5 Azumas, 5 Yoshinos, and 4 Hizans in that spawn pool. That is my guess. And so it just randomly chooses ships in that spawn pool to spawn for the north. Whereas the first one has a much bigger spawn pool since it has destroyers and cruisers. And not only Hizan, but also Palmerns in that spawn pool. Now, Palmern... Oh, I don't know. Do you even get Mutsu? Because Mutsu was... I believe Mutsu was originally in the original spawn pool. And since it had torpedoes, they kept it when they up-tiered the ships. But yeah, no, they were trying to keep the ships, any ships balanced when they moved from tier 6 to tier 6 through 8, and that made some things wonky, and they took, what, 6 months of balancing it? So I'm surprised they're not doing more to balance it as is. I am going to keep a lookout on what they're changing in the changelog for this next one. Hopefully they'll do something to change it. Because I don't think everything is all hanky-dory. I can't place my finger on what needs to be changed, but there are some things that might need to be changed. Mostly it's bot pathing. Because with the bigger ships you have weirder bot pathing because they don't turn as fast, or they turn too fast, or they have wider turning circles but faster rudder shift. So we're DCPing because we do not want armor piercing at our broadside. No Clausewitz. No armor piercing to our side. Otherwise we would wait for 2 fires. Hello, Yoshino. And goodbye, Yoshino. With that 77k. And we're back to being on fire. This is fine. So, I mean, the thing about, the Zumas and Yoshinos having 100k each, it's easy to get to 300k. You just have to destroy 3 of these cruisers. That's why we're already up to Or that, another 40k salvo, and we're now up to 400k damage. So we're turning in while Toxic is going up. Normally we would want to be a little bit further away from your models. We don't like your models. Actually, you should be closer in. I think we might be going closer in. But the reason why we're turning in is because there's still ships to shoot at. We've already lost 2 ships. Our battleship down south, it doesn't seem to be doing much. Since they're in Illinois, they can't actually do much damage. They don't have much alpha. Oh, only 13k? Robbed. Waksu died early. He's going to wherever he left. But we are going to help the Elbing and the Illinois because we're trying to get in position for the Yamatos, but at the same time, those ships need to die. Otherwise, the punishment spawn. So if they go too far south, then the punishment spawn of us, Hanover, is it Satsuma? Yeah, Hanover, Satsuma, and Yamato will spawn. So we are doing our best. That's why we have the spotter plane, so that we can more accurately aim at the Azuma. I'm not sure if you noticed when I was going over the ship, but I do have 406s in here, and that is so we have the 406 guns because this gives us the better reload. So right now we have a 23-second reload with Adrenaline Rush. And there we go. The Albing was able to take it out. And so Toxic was right up there. You can see he's right up there next to them. He in the Ushakov, since it's a very well armored. It's also well armored. It has a more vulnerable citadel, but it's well armored. So he's going up there to tank those. Unfortunately, we're throwing a little bit too much broadside to the Kurfurst on the other side. That is what is looking at us. No citadels, only 5 pens for 18k. And the Kurfurst has sent shells our way. And they hurt. Which we know they hurt because we are using them ourselves, but the enemy get buff damage with their shells. There we go, 2 citadels. They do not get a buff reload. They only get buff damage, buffed HP, and I think they might get a buff to a penetration as well, or at least penetration angles. We're able to get 2 more citadels there for 43k, while the enemy Kurfurst is hounding us from across the map. And finally, we're not targeted anymore. I think Toxic finally got the Kurfurst's attention. And we're able to finish off that Yamato. We have beached because we didn't want to be targeted by the Kurfurst anymore. And we have armor piercing loaded because we might be able to get good damage from the superstructure. There we go, 3 full pens. And the 2 that were looking at us would have been Yamatos, because you have Yamatos, you have what else? Yamatos, Yamagiri, Yoshino, Clausewitz are all going to be spawning up there. And Yamato and Yoshino both have good range. Might have been a Yoshino looking at us. And those spawn, the last one, they spawn in 3 ways. So if you have high DPM ships in like a tier 9 match, or a tier 6 if you run you run 4 Dallases, you might actually be able to clear out the all the enemy ships. You run what, 4 mines and then some other stuff. What's good at tier 9 that's high DPM? I think what, Vallejo? But anyways, yes, so since they spawn in 3 separate waves. With the first wave spawning before the battleships spawn, the second wave spawning after with the battleships, and the third wave spawning after a certain number of ships have been destroyed. I cannot tell you what the certain number of ships are. I do not know off the top of my head. But after a certain number of ships have been destroyed, enemy ships have been destroyed, then a third wave will spawn. I believe it might also be time factor too. That seems to be a case and law thing. Either when there's a trigger, like a situation trigger or a time trigger. That's a nice salvo on the Kurfurst. That's why we use armor piercing. The superstructure is a trap for armor piercing. And there's a Yoshino torp. All the way over there. And we're not going to dodge it. But we're able to survive it. Hits us on the nose, which has apparently been saturated, so we don't take full damage from the torpedo. Oh yeah, there, the Hindenburg. I'm gonna shoot that. It was going much slower than we thought it was going. So we're not saving the transports because we're far away from the transport. We went for the secondary objective. Whereas going for the main objective in this case would have actually been saving, well, killing the cruisers. So those 2 Yoshinos that are a bit out of reach for me to shoot. Able to get 40k off that Yoshino with only 3 turrets. So it would have been killing the Yoshinos. So here we are, 559, well, 560k credits earned with 2.8k free XP because we did 685k damage. Now it sounds like a lot, but a lot of it was dealt to battleships, so we don't actually earn that much in economy because so much were to battleships and high HP cruisers. Like 150k to 1 Yamato. Of our 680k, 150k was 1 Yamato. 70k, 50k, like it's all ships with lots of HP. So while it looks like a lot, it's very concentrated. As what, right here? 152, 253, 354. Right there is 400k. It's not very spread out. It's so we're only at the top with 19k basic speed and devastation. Toxic actually had 800k that game, 800k damage that game, and was behind us because he did even more to battleships than we did, where we did a lot to cruisers. There weren't really many destroyers. Like we did no damage to destroyers. No destroyers, just battleships and cruisers. And so, 685k and 600k came from main battery, with 10k HE and 59k in armor piercing. Our secondary battery only did 43k, and this is because we're sitting back. We're not actually trying to get up close to use our secondaries, because while they are nice, they are actually secondary damage for GK. For some ships, like the Ipiranga from last week, the secondaries are actually a big part of your damage. But for German battleships, not the battle cruiser line, the battleship line, the secondaries are secondary damage. The battle cruiser Schlieffen line, yeah, secondaries are really good there. Here, not so much. We received 175k damage out of our 100k HP pool, which, with the damage over time, yeah. And then for credits, we're using a green booster because with the tier 10s, because your credits are due to the bonus package and not baked in like a premium ship, I generally go with green boosters instead of blues, and I'll use blues on tier 9 premium ships because that gives the bonus on top of the baked in numbers. So that's why we have this. We have 21 point captain, so all of our Commander XP goes into Elite Commander XP. With that said, if you have any questions, any comments, if you like the video, click a like. If you want to have your voice heard, go ahead and put your voice in the comment section. I am very attentive to that. If you want to see videos when they first come out and get a notification, you can click that subscribe button. But if you don't want to do any of those things, you don't have to, because I can't tell you what to do. That said, I do hope to see you again next week. Have a good one.